Hello, everyone. My name is Jared. I'm one of the team members at Podcast Movement. And today we are very fortunate to have a guest all the way from Bogota, Colombia. It's my friend Alejo Vargas with Podway. And today, Alejo is going to talk about why it's time to invest in the Latin American podcast ecosystem. First of all, Alejo, thank you for being here. Maybe you could start out by just telling us a little bit about yourself and Podway, and then we'll dive right into the presentation. What do you say?
Hello, everybody, for your time. I really appreciate it, your attention. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, obviously, Podcast Movement University. Mm, I'm right now. I'm staying in Bogota, Colombia. I'm from Colombia. Today, drink. Cheers with everybody with the Colombian coffee. I'm created and founded Podway. Podcast Network is a podcast network and agency, and on the other way, I'm a work in a Spreaker in Boxnest for business development in Latin America. This is a short, long story about me. Uh, I feel very, very happy to share with everybody ideas, my vision, and reality for this market, for Latin American market. In the first way, it's very different Latin American markets and U.S. Hispanic in United States. The same language, but different, very different audience. Uh, right now, I share with you my screen about ideas, graphics, and more. I feel a little bit nervous. Okay, I share my screen right now. Okay. Why it's time ecosystem? I look back. A few years ago in Latin America, special in Colombia, Argentina, Chile, Mexico, and Brazil. Obviously, talking about the word podcast was something almost unknown that a few heard, and other people produce what I call superfans. Superfans have contributed in a positive way to the word, podcast word, beginning to have resonance in attracting new audience to consume the format. However, growth remained very shy and their financial income in the same way. No, in 2017, 2018, in 2019, and in this graphic in 2018 and 2019, the creation began to skyrocket. The generation of value offering of more podcast content in all categories. This graphic is very special point. This graphic sources from Boxnest Audience Networks and look in 2018 the graphic and in 2019 3x, 4x more and growth of Spanish language podcast. This graphic is before pandemic, very special point. In this graphic about fastest growing countries by content creation, different ways, content creations and audience, very different ways on the same ecosystem. In this graphic, in top 10, Argentina, Brazil, Italy, Colombia, Mexico, United Kingdom, United States of America, Spain, Canada, and India. In this top 10, four countries, 40% from Latin America: Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico, in content creation. Okay. And a special point because Brazil, Brazil is in Latin America, obviously. So Brazil is huge, very huge in population. And in Brazil, speaking Portuguese is different. It's very different. It's very different in Brazil. Consume and listeners and different tips. In 2019 and 2020, I think it's very important during pandemic. It's very important to podcasting in Latin America markets. Podcasters, independent producers improve their quality in content. It's very point, especially the big brands and radio brands. The radio brands right now mm, develop different podcast networks. Although with much uncertainty, they begin to develop podcast networks with a diversity of content. A lot of diversity of content right now in Latin America. This is examples from brands from, for example, from Chile. Emisor Podcasting is a special network to create content and radio brands. Obviously, Podway Podcast Network from Colombia. Caracol Podcast is brand from Prisa from Spain. Acorde is other independent podcast network from Colombia. RCN is a very important radio brand here. Amphibia Podcast from Argentina is other important brand to create content. Emotion Podcast from Costa Rica. It's not only Latin America, Central America. No, for example, in Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, the timing right now it's important too for increase content. Okay, a special point because in the beginnings of 2020, due to the pandemic and prolonged quarantines, creation is strengthened once again, and audience are skyrocketing like never before. Brands are beginning to inquire about how a podcast strategy generates value to the campaigns and marketing plans of different companies. We talk about the branding podcast. I think in beginnings on 2020, the real talk about the branding podcast. This is a example, a real example and case study. This show created in Podway. The name is in Spanish, or obviously El Estetoscopio. This podcast from from brand pharmaceutical. Develop this content with professionals in medicine, with real cases about medicine, and and right now in charts in Colombia, in Panama, is number one in category medicine. It's very important this point to brands because when marketing directors view the results, the real results, for example, about in the charts, creating more credibility and atmosphere. Excuse me, it is very positive to everybody, to ecosystem. It is a special point in branding podcast because branding podcast is a lot of ways right now in podcasting about monetization, a lot of ways. So right now, branding podcast is a special point to independent companies to create a branding podcast. This is a special point. It's important to brands, I think. Okay, In this slide about podcast networks, because this is other part of podcasting ecosystem. Fastest growing countries by podcast listening. Sources: uh, State of Podcast Universe by Boxnest in 2020 mid-year. In 2020, no? From Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Chile, among others countries, in less than 3 years, they have doubled their downloads per year and have quadrupled their programmatic revenues in thousands of dollars that will surely be three figures. Thus, generation countless opportunities for brands and agencies that want to join the wave. And in 2020 mid-year, top 10 from countries by podcast listening growing. This is an important point. Mexico in top 10, Chile top 9, New Zealand, Germany, Philippines, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, India, Turkey. Top 10. In this top 10, number 10, Mexico 1, number 9, Chile, Colombia 2, number 5, Brazil, 3 countries, number 4, Brazil, 4 countries, and Colombia. 5 countries in this list, fastest growing countries by podcast listening. I think this is the most important slide for this presentation because agencies needed audience to invest in podcasting. Okay. Hey, what happened? Okay. Okay. To a pandemic and the huge budget cuts of the brands is reality due to the pandemic. The option of programmatic advertising ads in the continent really begins to be more relevant in audio both for advertiser and agencies that move their budgets to have greater reaches at a lower cost as for creators and networks that begin to see income from this form of advertising. Uh, what categories investing right now in programmatic in Latin America? Department stores, certain insurance, cell phones, fast food, television, American cuisine, government, performance vehicles, private schools, automotive, shopping. This is graphic is from a specific podcast network. Ages. They are consuming podcasting content in Latin America. Ages I think is a good tip, is a good information. Excuse me, because this graphic is in Spanish. Sorry. Podcasting in Latin America is between 25 to 34 years is the first segment, the first niche. The second segment in 35 and 44 years, and the third in 45 and 54 years, and 50% male and 53% from women's. It's I think uh, it's not a huge difference in difference for males or families. I think it's good cycle. What are we listening? What they are consuming the most in Latin America? Content, about content. What is the favorite categories in Latin America? The first history is very important in Latin America. Journalist journalist investigations is the second large. Comedy, politics, or news about politics. No, dailies about politics, dailies about sports is important. Podcasts, science, tech, news, fiction, arts, education, video games, hobbies, and other categories. So a story and journalist is one, and second, consuming content, the most important in Latin America. And now, where where to invest in the Latin American ecosystem? Where? I think in four stages, or in four boxes. Better invest in Latin America ecosystem. First box: sales team. Develop sales team focus in programmatic and direct deals to a sponsor. Remember, one way is programmatic, other way is direct sales to sponsors. First box. Second box: in independent content producing, in agencies, in original content, in more content, more catalog to invest, to sales, to create campaigns. And third box: advertiser agencies is very important right now. For example, big names, agencies, big names, Publicis, Havas, Omnicom, etc. have many right now possibilities to invest in Latam right now and move the traditional budgets. For example, in traditional budgets, the traditional radio it's expensive and rich and results. It is very different right now in podcasting. Better budget, more cheap, and I think the results for campaigns is better right now. And in the four box, if investment increase a risk time, the entire ecosystem, not only in one box, the entire ecosystem, the creator, the listener, and the advertiser. Is my point of view. Is I think the next 3-4 years more close to the ecosystem in Latin America is I think the explosion is very close. I'm not think I'm sure about this. And that's it. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Contact me, please, about new friends, about talk about deals, about business. I don't know. Uh, Excuse me to the so I'm appreciated, Jared, and appreciated everybody for your time, for your learn about Latin America ecosystem podcast. I'm sure about the more positive results. It's very close, step by step.
Alejo, we really appreciate you sharing this with us today, and I'm sure there's going to be more developments as the Spanish and Latin American podcast communities continue to emerge and grow. What are some things that you see? I mean, you kind of touched on some of this with the presentation, but what are some things you see kind of in the near future that's happening in the Spanish speaking podcast community that others should be aware of?
My favorite three countries: in Mexico, in
Mhm.
Colombia, in Argentina. Why? Because in these countries, uh, right now, growing a lot of independent companies to create it, to invest in an audience growing in the same case. Obviously, Brazil, because so Brazil is the other continent in Latin America. This is the real explication about Brazil. Brazil is other continent in Latin America, and
Right.
and America Central. America Central, I think, is very important because in America Central, a lot of countries, the currency right now is in dollars. In Mexico and in Colombia and Argentina, the currency is different. No, there's I think in Central America, Central America, it's very close to explosion. And
Mm.
in 2022, in 2023, the prices for CPM, it's increase year after year increase. This is my I think my vision, and the content creation, uh, the quality for content creation, day after day, it's better because more people interested in creating, interested in a script, interested in strategies to sales, uh, different careers. I think, uh, day after day, different careers in ecosystem in Latin America.
Yeah. Well, Alejo, we really appreciate you taking time to share this with us today, and we look forward to maybe having you back soon to continue to talk about further developments. And yeah,
Yes,
we thank you again. And if people want to connect with you, can you share your slide again with your email and with your contact info? Just if, in case people
yes,
want to send you an email or check in with you, I want to make sure that they have that
yes,
contact
yes.
info. Help me add this back so people can see it.
I
So we have
I shared my screen.
podway.com.co. Yeah. Then your email is there, Alejo
Yes,
Vargas at podway.com.co. So I'm going to share that in the chat for anyone that wants to stay connected as they should.
yes,
And yeah, we really appreciate you taking time to share with the community today. Thank you
and
again.
and I think, no, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm really appreciated your invitation. I'm really appreciated your a lot of opportunities to
Hmm.
to me, and I'm sure and see you and see you everybody in on March in Los Angeles in podcast movement. I think
Well, we would love to see
evolutions
you there,
right
and
now.
yeah, I hope people can join us, whether it's in person or virtual. Thank you again, Alejo, and you have a great day.